I went to this conservative treehouse to see what they're up to again, and it's like, you know, they're following this Law and Order, this soap opera. Like he says, one of the guy there was like, after 3 months of investigating the players. But where are the maps? What about investigating the crime? When they talk about the crime, there's like, obviously there was nothing there to prosecute. It must be racist and is the racist thing. And this sort of thing. It's like, what about the crime? But I guess it's just, that's not what they're into. It's not like they're into the CSI part. They're into the whole what goes on back in the squad room and why who gets demoted. It's interesting stuff. I actually started to see that. I'm saying, okay, I see why they're interested in this thing that's wholly separate, and why it seems all diluted with racism and stuff, and who likes their mother, and whether who's dating who, and all of these things come into play. I see why that's interesting. It's just that it's totally separate. The George Zimmerman situation right now is basically this. There's all kinds of problems. I don't see the circling the car, how that works. I'm waiting to see a map, a Daiwana Man map, or someone, how that can be. Someone can pin down which of George's stories are considered the more statistically reliable, or divide them and take an average, or and put that circling. And he says to the cop, he gets out because he was asked for an address. He's obviously gets out to pursue and says something different later. All of those, that's all interesting, but it's all smoke too, because the most important thing we know is that 2 of the witnesses heard the fight and the screams moving, right? So witness 11 heard it start behind her house, which is near the T, the arguing part, and then travel southward. And the guy, witness 6, I believe it is, he also said he heard the screams moving around. None of George's stories has that. He has one story where the sucker punch, he stumbled and he goes 6 feet or 10 or whatever it is into the zone of that screened door place, right? But there is no struggle still. Okay, you don't stumble fall 40 feet, right? You don't get sucker punched and as you're falling down in slow-mo, stumble 40 feet. Okay, if it takes 40 feet to fall down, then you didn't fall down from the punch, you were reeling from the punch, and then you were grabbed and you were shoved. He doesn't tell that story. Even this, maybe I had a slap fight. Well, if you had a slap fight for 40 seconds, ending up 40 feet away, that's not being mounted. The word has been that he was punched, dropped, and mounted. And then he changed it, well, I had a little slap fight, and then that happened here. And then the body's way over there. That's the biggest thing. That's the reason this is not, if somebody's going to get off for stand your ground, like especially the cops, the prosecutors decide not even to do anything, it should all fit together really well. That should be for like when this happens and there's actual 5 witnesses that see it and they go, yeah, right? Or in a public place or something like that. If it's just the person that did the killing, if it's just their word, I could still see going for it. These are dangerous situations. Maybe they're going to be happening when there's just 2 people there, but then everything would have to fit together, and you should make sure you're finding out if it fits together. The kid had a cell phone; they should get the records and have gotten DD on their own, and so on, because stuff has to fit together. He needs to tell a story, and then you need to see how much of it you can check. Now, one reason they went the way they did, obviously, is because of the witness John that came out with the MMA style thing, and then he couldn't really tell, and then he's like, he knew who was in top and who was in control, but it's not just that he didn't see their face. He says things like, I don't remember if I saw it. But he knew the color of the face, but I don't remember if I saw it. And it's not, he's not credible, and he's retracted a lot of his stuff. But I could see why initially some of the cops would start to think, okay, well, one eyewitness, that's what we needed in terms of that perfectly fitting together. The problem is, the eyewitness upstairs saw a white person on top, a white shirt rather, and a white shirt on top, and she said that in the 9/11 call. She said that later in her statements. Okay, even though she was confused about, well, none of those guys had that, right? But that's what I saw. So that's enough to, well, we should try to hook stuff up. And then you have this fight where a struggle, this isn't, like if he had said we were struggling, I don't know how long, and I think we moved about 6 feet, that would be different. So he thought it was 6 feet and it was 40. He thought something was 10 seconds, it was 5 seconds, that. But the very nature of this story is wrong. It is that George did not struggle. There was no back and forth. There was no moving around. There was no holding people's shirts or whatever it would have been, for the screaming to have moved around. Right? You say, well, how did George's head get hurt? Well, it's pretty consistent to having a fall, or falling over with the guy you're having a shoving match with, falling over and scrambling on there and scraping yourself up. Now, he didn't have his nose treated, so it couldn't have been broken very bad, right? And I just think that, that's the answer. That's what I want to see 3 months of investigating about. That's what I want to see from all you people that say, no, the facts meet perfectly. Okay, just show me the map. I'm convincible by that. It has to work in time and space, right? Things have to piece together in time and space. I'm sorry, I believe in physics in the material world. Things always piece together in time and space. And if they don't, then there's a problem with the information.